is a review of the test, and the questions are exactly the same. The only thing I changed was these first two fractions. The entire rest of the test is the same. Okay? You know how those questions go where whatever answer you get on the first one, then you'll use that answer on the second one, and then you'll use this answer on the next one, and then keep going. That's what kind of questions these are. All right, so I'm going to read it. We don't have to draw anything, and we're going to decide how to set this up. Lila collected honey from 3 of her beehives. From the first hive, she collected 2/4 gallons of honey. The last 2 hives yielded 1/3 gallon each. How many gallons of honey did Lila collect in all? Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to write the problem down. And then we're going to see if we can add any of it in our heads before we start. Okay? So, 2/4 gallon from the first hive, right? Write that down. And leave it at 2/4. Don't simplify it yet. Okay? And then it says the last 2 hives yielded 1/3. So that's going to be 2 of 1/3, right? Could I just combine those right now before I start my problem?
Yes.
What would I write? 2/3. Okay. And I'm pretty sure it's the same way on your test, but it's not 1/3. It might be 1/2 or something. I don't know. Okay, so how am I going to solve this problem? Tucker, you need to focus. Okay. Ethan, tell me what to do.
We're going to find our denominator.
Very good. Common denominator for 4 and 3 is what? Okay. So this is option 1. We just get to add after we do top down, bottom up. So 2 times 3 and 4 times 2. So what does that give me? 14 twelfths. It's an improper fraction, so we have to change it to a mixed number first. So 1 whole would be what? 12 twelfths plus 2 twelfths. Now 2 twelfths I can simplify. Should we simplify it now before we write the answer? So it's going to be 1 whole. What am I going to divide by on 2 twelfths?
2.
Yep. So that's going to be 2 divided by 2 and 12 divided by 2. Now I have a feeling, I haven't read this problem or test for a year, but I have a feeling this 1 1/6 is going to go down with us to the next question. Okay? So let's see what we've got. After using some of the honey she collected for baking, Lila found that she only had 3/4 gallon of honey left. How much did she use for baking? Okay, what did she have?
1
No,
1/6.
1 1/6. I feel like we need to do something like, maybe, let me see here. Take this and make sure we know it's going down here. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, good idea? All right, so now, let me find this next problem. So, how am I going to figure out how much she used? Am I going to add or am I going to subtract? Subtract. Okay. Now, this is one of those problems where we've got to decide, do we need the 1 or can we take the 1 out and put it back in when we're done? So which one's larger, 1/6 or 3/4?
3/4.
3/4. So we're going to have to use the 1. Okay? So do you guys remember how we use the 1? Change. Okay, we'll do it both ways. Change this to a fraction. 6/6 plus 1/6. And then we also have a little strategy, don't we?
Yes.
Multiply the denominator times the whole number
Which will be 7.
and add the numerator. So it's going to be what? 7/6 minus 3/4. Now remind me how I'm going to do, oh, and here's what I want you to remember, guys. We're done with this problem right here. We've already used the one. We changed it to an improper fraction. So you get to ignore all this, okay? Here's your new problem, 7/6 minus 3/4. Okay, so remind me, how should I do the common denominator for 6 and 4?
The little like wooden stick sword.
Yeah. We're going to put 6 and 4 on the T-chart. We're calling it a stick sword, aren't we? And does Skip count?
12.
12. Okay. So remember, we have to write this differently because it's option 2. So 12 is my common denominator. Seven, 6 minus 3/4. I don't get to keep either one of those fractions, do I? No. So I'm going to ask myself these questions. 6 times what equals 12?
2.
Okay. And whatever you do to the bottom, very good. And 4 times what equals 12?
3.
So that's going to be 14 minus 9. And that's the answer, guys. Pretty good, huh? Let's see what we got next. 5/12. With the remaining 3/4 gallon of honey, Lila decided to bake some loaves of bread and several batches of cookies for her bake sale. The bread needed 1/6 gallon of honey and the cookies needed 1/4 gallon. How much honey was left over? Why am I doing this? Two steps. So she's got 3/4 gallon of honey left. But she's going to use 2 different amounts here. So what do we need to do with those first before we can subtract? Add those 2 together. So we'll add 1/6 plus 1/4. All right. So does anybody remember the common denominator for 6 and 4? 12. Okay. So, gosh, I don't have much room here. See if I can move that over. All right. So we're going to do option 2, and we're adding. The common denominator is 12. And six times what equals 12? Okay. And 4 times what?
3.
That was the answer on the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what do we do? That's part 1. We got to figure out how much she has left over. Subtract. So how much did she have?
3/4.
3/4. And we're subtracting whatever answer we got here. 5/12. This is option 2 for finding the denominator, but it's the easier one of the 2. You guys remember what to do? If the 2 divides into the 12, I use the bigger one. So that means, and these are my favorite, because I get to keep one of the fractions and I don't have to change it. Which fraction do I get to keep?
5.
5/12. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. And then 4 times what equals 12? 3.
9.
Okay.
4/12.
You can simplify it. Very good.
By 4.
Divide it by 4. I think I'm going to rewrite it because I'm kind of out of room. So if I do 4/12 and I divide it by 4, what does that give me for an answer?
1/3.
1/3. So she has 1/3 gallon of honey left. She's able to make a lot of things. Okay. I'm wondering if having beehives would be a good business.